When it comes to EVE Online, every player wants to know the most effective tactic available. You want to know the meta. The meta controls everything. It determines what will and will not happen. Knowing the meta will alter your views, make you question your reality. It might even make you laugh. And now, you're part of it. You're watching The Meta Show.
Hey, welcome everybody to this week's episode of The Meta Show. Keith Stone here today is your host and co-host here. And I've got Dave Archer, as always, with me as our host, co-host. We just kind of do everything together here. So joining me today, we have Stupides from Stigma Grindset. Hello, Stupides, and thanks for joining us today.
Hey.
Before I get into... Thanks, man. I'm sorry about that. Before we get into the actual show here, just want to run through, as usual, some housekeeping stuff. Meta Show is doing a rotating host schedule for season 6. So I feel like you've seen my face probably for the past 4 or 5 weeks the most. Love being on here with everybody. And again, thank you, INN and Dave, for that. We'll have a survey at the end. Let us know how we're doing. Again, variety content is changing. Let us know what you'd like to see. We're always kind of taking those tips and reviews on making sure that you, our customer and audience, um, are seeing what you want to see on here. And then lastly, of course, the team is recruiting stream producers, Eve streamers, and variety streamers. So please reach out to Dave Archer and the team there and get that in. Before we get into our main topic here, Dave, I have something personal that I've been thinking about that I want to take a second to talk about. And I have been around, for those of you who know me, I've jumped around to a couple different groups in EVE Online. You know, Rope Capel, recently Cone, United Federation of Conifers, and a couple of wormhole groups. Starting out, I did some LoSec stuff when I first started at EVE. And one thing that I've gotten some crap for over the years is, Keith, you've been in a lot of different corps. You look at my corp history, it's probably longer than some of the average people. And I feel like, chat, and I'd like to hear everybody's thoughts on this. I feel like there's a bit of a negative stigma. And so, PDs, if you want to cue in on this, and Dave, you want to cue in on this a little bit, I'd love to hear your thoughts. A negative stigma, when you look at someone's corp history, they've been in like 4, 5, 6 different corps every other month, that kind of thing. And people are like, oh, is this person a spy or that kind of thing? And it just, I feel like it's unfair because I have a lot of friends all over the EVE universe. And I'm like, wait a second, I want to go play with these guys. I want to go fly with these guys, but I can't because these guys have blues here or these guys don't have blues there. And I feel like sometimes people get some unfair criticism. And what do you guys, Dave, we hear your thoughts. So PDs, feel free to chime in as well. Your thoughts on people who kind of jump around the different corps.
So I think it depends how long they've been playing. If it's someone that jumps around every other month, and has only played for a few months or like just a small amount of years, it looks very suspicious and looks like they're not actually that interested in being part of your corporation. So people are less inclined to, bring them in because it's like, look at in the terms of a business. Are you going to hire someone that you then have to integrate only for them to leave in 4 months? No, you're not, because I mean, it theoretically costs a lot of man hours to do that just for no reason, is my opinion on that.
Yeah, so Peters, what are your thoughts on it? I hear your thoughts, man. As one of the leaders of one of our alliances in the Imperium, like, what are your, how do you view it?
It all depends, right? You can have people in really bad organizations, like, I mean, or you can have people in really good organizations, like NC Dot. You know, those guys are so elite. No, just kidding. They're horrible. But typically, when you get a lot of people with a really colorful background, look at the corps. Maybe because people are fickle, and sometimes leadership could be a mask, right? Like the person leading the organization could be, scamming everybody, or maybe it's like a temporary thing for them, and they're not as invested as others. So really take your time when you investigate people, see if they're worth it or not.
Maybe there's some
Yeah, we
unfair
got chat.
taxes involved.
There could be. We'll get to that in a second. But chat, there is a we do have a poll up, so I'd love to hear the chat's kind of view on this. Does Corp history make the person? Does it make you you? And are you a spy? But we got a yes no checkbox. Love to hear your opinions. We'll circle back to that in a second and see what the results of that poll is. I'd also like to. I've seen a couple comments in the chat here about axe the tax. And Dave, we put this up here because there's been some breaking. We got some breaking news. It's kind of breaking for those of you of our viewers who might be in Horde and some of those other alliances. We've seen some. I think it's some rather unfair tax statements coming
yeah.
out of our some of the other alliances. Was like 15% mining tax, and I heard somewhere there was like
10%.
80% tax on merc dens.
10% average mining tax. So
Okay.
if 10% is the average, it's average per site, with higher value ore taxed more, lower value ore taxed less. Apparently, ice is less valuable, by the way. In our good friends Pandemic Horde. And their justification for it is golden. One of their justifications is, and I'll read this word for word from Gobbins, we saw goons talk a bunch of shit about our mining tax, so we checked their rates. Here is a reminder, goons have the highest tax of any block in the game, 15% across the board, and a whopping 5% on reprocessing, which impacts both miners and importers. Now, the interesting thing here, first of all, he needs to check his shit. If he had any spies in actually anywhere that was useful in our alliance, he would know that it's not 15% across the board. It's 15% in some corps, so corps can provide stuff to their members. It is actually 7.5% for ratting from the alliance. And corps then, and that is the minimum a corp has to do. They can set it to 0, but then that corp will be paying out of thin air their dues to alliance. Yeah, but the 5% reprocessing tax, yet again, we don't tax many other things, like, merc dens at 80%. Or say that we're going to give our members the skyhooks that collect resources and then tax them out the fucking ass. So, really, he needs to check his data before he slings shit. But, in my opinion, a tax on a normal ANOM is the dumbest shit I have ever heard. Seeps? Keith, what do you reckon?
I
I'll let
mean,
Seeps go. I want to hear Seeps' opinion.
I mean, you got to like the Ministry of Truth. Like, let's go like straight to 1984. Like, he's trained his people to only listen from his truth at the pulpit. So when he's out there spewing shit, they're not going to listen to anything else. They're going to listen to him. Like it's madness. And other alliances have tried this since we went into nullsec from highsec and lowsec since the game started. With ORA non-taxation and stuff. But like, what do you do with that ISK? I know the membership is not getting 100% SRP. Like I know they're not getting some great deal from it. And there is no SOV cost anymore. So you really wonder, like, with all these crazy taxes, what the hell are they doing with all the ISK? Because you don't even need that much ISK.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
I've just read another bit that they have essentially removed their reprocessing tax, which is fine. But in my opinion, they sting shit at us for reprocessing tax, but not every miner reprocesses their ore. Not every miner builds with that ore. Some people just mine to sell it and make ISK. So what our reprocessing tax does is essentially does a mining tax without harming the little guy that's just trying to make ISK and has no use for that ore. It's just the easiest way for them to make ISK.
Well, you're right. It creates a domino effect, right? Like everything gets more expensive because you know as well as I do, their industry teams are probably controlled friendships with friendships and people in power, and those people buy things at lower cost from the people that are getting their shit taxed, and then they upcharge and upcharge, and soon you have overpriced doctrine and low SRP. But yeah, like in Sigma, all of our infra is 1% for our membership. All of it is 1%. So like you build in our Sotio, it's 1%. MNT 1%. Repro 1%. We don't care. That just keeps the lights on in the structure. I'm not looking to make a buck off of membership. I want our members to be really happy and have money to buy PvP ships to kill people with, not spend it on some like Gobbins lingerie fund. Like
So off the top of my
But you're
head,
already here. We have a Goblins lingerie fund. That's what I'm hearing. Sir
oh,
PD's.
somebody SEMA, get on that. But so off the top of my head, I am going to check the shit I'm about to spew because I am not Gobbins. Most of our industry taxes in GSF are capped at 1%. Reprocessing is a different story, but yet again in Goonswarm, those taxes for industry, mostly a lot of the time, Corps have their own what we call a GEZ, Goonswarm Economic Zone, that they build in, and there's the Alliance ones, of course, but yeah, well, a lot of Corps have their own one as well. It's as Asher said in the fireside today, the wealth in Goonswarm, unlike Horde, is put in the hands of the members, not the Alliance. We don't tax everything under the sun, and most alliances don't. It's ridiculous that the
Yeah.
largest one in the game has decided to tax every aspect of living.
And you talk about alliances and chat, as you know, like we've been trying to hear the meta show. We're going through kind of an alliance spotlight. And today we have, like I said, some PDs from Sigma Grindset. We're going to talk a little bit about Sigma Grindset and the history there. Well, what I'd like to hear though, since like, first of all, I'd like to set this challenge out to Horde and Gobbins. Gobbins, we would love to have you on the show and talk to you and understand, hey, where this come from. Maybe we're being a little unfair. I don't know. Maybe there could be something we don't understand. Set the record straight. This is a challenge from the meta show to you, Goblins, to come on and help us set the record straight, because I'm sure our viewers and plenty of people out there would love to hear, what are those taxes for? What are they going for? I think somebody said on Reddit that the taxes were going to SRP, ratting ships and mining ships that are lost. And if that's the case, that sounds pretty cool. Like if they're getting able to get SRP on ratting ships or mining ships that are lost, cool, great. But would love to have Dobbins on the show and spotlight Horde and learn about Horde, but also hear some of, hey, why those taxes exist. But Dave, let's go on to our
real
main
quick on that.
topic here, which is
I'm going to add to that real quick. I have actually attempted to reach out to Gobbins and several members of Horde's leadership to come on the show. Gobbins is just blanking me, and Horde's leadership always has some excuse. So they say the meta show's a goon propaganda thing. They've been given the opportunity to come on and say their piece, but they just hide in their hole like cowards. So, as Keith said, opportunities there, guys. If any of Horde want to actually come on and have a conversation, I swear we won't have a background relating to you that much on that day. Then reach out and we will get you slated in. Anyway, let's go on to the actual topic of today. That was just all too good to miss. And seeing if you're watching, I want to see some memes. So yeah, let's go on to the top story. Boom, Keith. Top story.
Awesome. Thank you, Dave. So again, like I said, probably for the third time already, we have some PDs from Sigma Grindset. And some PDs, before I ever joined the Imperium, I personally, I'd heard of Sigma Grindset, but I didn't know what you guys did. And don't take this the wrong way, I was like, oh, they're just a bunch of nobodies in the Imperium. Like they're just another group that's kind of floating around on their coattails. But as I've interacted with you guys more and seen like some of the stuff you did on 8 Drops of Dreads here recently on the Fort in Soct, I believe, Dave, when we did the broadcast there, they came in there and seen you guys drop some stuff around. And I've actually been like, oh, these guys are legit. These guys don't care. So walk me through, because I know I'd love to learn, and I'm sure the rest of the chat would. Tell us a little bit about the history of your group there.
Yeah, sure, Keith. Yeah, the sock fight was pretty interesting. We hate faxes and we prepare adamantly for them. So like if somebody has a fax on grid, we're going to clip it. So please, if
Yeah.
they put faxes on grid, let's escalate it into a dread fight. Don't care. We'll get more dreads later. But yeah,
Can other groups fat phone you if like I know that they're gonna bring faxes and be like, hey, dude, can you bring some things to clip that?
yeah, everybody thinks they're like some special, thing like you have to have on a pedestal or hidden away. They're just a tool. You use them.
Yeah.
And if they die, they die. Who cares? CCP made them cheaper, which is fantastic. So use them. I think
Yeah.
people should use dreads to counter faxes more, make the game a better place, more interesting.
No, 100%. I'm sorry, I
But
didn't mean
yeah,
to get you
I'm
off track
drifting.
there. Go
Yeah,
ahead.
yeah. So the Sigma is kind of a unique group. We had some corps from different low-sec organizations. Um, the core of us left Dreadbomb when Dreadbomb wanted to go to Cloud Ring and it just do a different thing, right? Like I don't blame Seto and a lot of those guys for just wanting a different game. You know, we didn't want to play the same way, so we split up from Dreadbomb and a couple other low sec organizations and created Sigma Grindset, which is used ironically. Um, and our symbol, our little Sigma symbol, that is two arrows moving forward. So like we're always moving forward. We're chasing the meta. Um, we don't, like most alliances, you'll see them use hacks over and over again, or no utility battleships, just the same crap, and it's just something we don't do.
Gotcha. Somebody asked in chat, do you have an alt alliance? Is that
Yeah,
something you guys have?
yeah, Ligma Grindset is our alt
Like
alliance. It's got the little weenie, the space weenie.
those big
Yeah,
awesome.
you can pull it up. Yeah, it's a legitimate space weenie on the Titans. Some of our bridging Titans happily moved to Ligma.
Gotcha. Some of them happily moved to Ligma. Where did you where does Sigma like you said it's some low cycle groups, that kind of thing. How long has Sigma been in the game? Sigma Grants have been in the game.
So the core of our organization has a lot of old heads. Like we have guys from way back, wildly inappropriate, old Northern Coalition days, even prior to that, to when Red Alliance was still stomping around Scalding Pass, and guys were around during Bob and IT days when they reformed, and it just we've been around everywhere. We've been playing this game for better part of 20 years now. Unfortunately, God, what's wrong with us?
I just
I don't
put
know,
the
man. That's a
Ligma
good
Grindset
question.
logo up
Yeah,
on the
there it is.
stream. That is amazing.
It's
That is
peak
an
Eve right there,
awesome
gentlemen. Peak Eve. Yeah.
missed opportunity to have that in our background, Dave. We'll have to take notes for that next time. What is like what drove you guys, Supides, to kind of join up with the Imperium?
So, like, if you're thinking, let's combine these things. So World War B was pretty interesting for us because some of us started on the other side, um, where we got to see a lot of different ideologies and strategies from all these different groups play out, and I think we really looked at Imperium after a falling out with our current groups, as the only option, but also conveniently the best option. Um, if I'm being honest, where that a lot of the things that they were doing, we wanted to be a part of, like the leadership was a lot more honest than let's go. If we're talking about other organizations in this game, but yeah, a lot of things Imperium was doing at the time, the success in World War B, our anti pan-fam stance and stuff like that, just led us right to Imperium as a good choice.
Yeah, no, that's awesome, and definitely, I'm sure I can speak for a lot of the members of the Imperium here. You're you definitely love seeing you guys come on Shield. And I kind of play on Shield kind of brings my up to my like the next topic I would like to get into with you. What is your explain to us like your play style? How does Sigma Grindset like interact with the game in PvP? Like, what do you guys do?
Well, so one of the things we like to look at, if you guys are fans of Starship Troopers, and that one saying they have, everybody works, everybody fights. Not the whole, fascism crazy shit in the book, but more so like as a community, we're a PvP first and foremost. That's what we focus on. But we don't balk at the parts of the game that make that possible. We have a lot of
Mhm.
players with long history in the game, and we like to play what we think as of like the only way for nullsec. Um, so it's a amorphous thing, right? Like we're building a society, and there's a bunch of moving parts, and it's ever changing, and we never lose sight of the forever war that is nullsec. Like we want nullsec to be forever war. We like PvP. We want more alliances engaging. Where like something we looked at Imperium during the World War B, that they didn't care about negative ISK, right? Like the BRs were relevant. The success of the organization and sometimes the objective was the primary. And that's stuff we like to look at, and not too
Yeah.
much grabbing. That's I don't care about that too
So I mean,
much.
you don't have like a 15% tax on money. I mean, the chat here is still going on like with the with the
They're
taxes
loving
here.
their
So do
tax.
you take horde? I know. Do you hate the will you take horde refugees looking for lower taxes?
I mean, as long as they have a dread alt and they like PvP, they can grab afterwards. Like after we kill
Okay.
everybody in our space, But that's another thing. Like our tax system in Sigma is to we want people to be able to flex their accounts. Like how many hours does it take to Ishtar Rat to make so many billions a month, or if they're doing what are they called, Forsaken Sanctums with Marauders, all that kind of stuff we look at. And we want
Yeah.
people to be able to not only afford PvP ships, that's why we offer 100% SRP. And because once they buy a ship in Sigma, if they're PvPing with it, they're only paying the index, right? Like, because we're always buying them new ships or 100%
Yeah.
compensating PvP activities. And we have a very low tax system. It's really nothing compared to anybody else. But because we don't harbor it away in Komodo funds, it goes directly to our community.
Who's buying a Komodo? Dave, who's buying a
That
Komodo?
was Villy.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I'm just out of touch with that.
Oh, he had a cringy name as well. I can't remember what it is now. It was a name like the Tower of Legends. That's why the keep star was called the Tower of Legends, and I can't remember what the hell it was called now. Anybody in chat remember the name of Villy's Titan? Let me know. But
The
yeah.
It's not Asbel, is it?
Oh, he does love his Asbels. Oh, every night for me
that-
during that war was, oh, look, another Asbel to kill. I actually lost
the
my
champion
vendetta because
jewel
of an Asbel.
the champion's jewel, is that right? The hero's
There
chariot.
you go.
I don't know
That's
if
it.
these are
It
right. I'm
was
just reading
no,
them off.
it was the Champion's Jewel.
The champion's jewel. We
Yeah, so we
get a
called it the
+1 for Heidi
Champion's butt
there.
plug. Um,
The champion's
yeah.
butt. That's great. That's great. Oh, thank you, Heidi, for calling
Shame
that
he
out.
wasn't the
Definitely
champion
appreciate
though.
the history there. All right, we'll go back to Sapish. What do you think Sigma Grindset, like your alliance, what sets it apart from other groups in the game?
I mean, we have a different philosophy on a lot of things. We like to be, military capability always comes first,
Mhm.
but super competent, engaged people. Like we want leadership. We have no merit badging in Sigma. If you can't assume that responsibility, then you shouldn't have it, right? Like FCs, NCOs, officers, all these kind of different roles we put in our organizations. We want the
Deputy
person
military
behind
director.
them to also be a contributor, right? Um, but yeah, we really bring that energy to playing as a team and having a good time. And we don't care if anyone knows their name. We just want people to be a team more than we care about, like, oh, it's Sapidi's fleet, or it's HDub, or it's HG, or any of my other guys as a FC. Like, we don't care. It's the community as a whole that's engaging with a threat or a task or an objective or whatever it may be.
I mean, I would always
And
join
that's
Yeah, no.
Speedy's fleet.
yeah, and it's kind of a hard question to answer, right? Like, this game has been evolving for 20 years, right? Metas change, people change, organizations change, but we strive to be unassuming. We're not out there on Reddit. We're not out, there shouting at people need to see us, or we need some sort of fame or anything. We just don't care. We're out there to have fun and a good time, and we play the game because we're masochistic enough to think it's fun, and because we like playing hard, complicated games as a team with other human beings, or what some people might not know are called people.
It is
And just
hard.
figuring out how to win,
Uh.
like, so one of the things we always get mad at other alliances for is the N+1 philosophy, right? Like,
Mhm.
they just get another Drake and another Drake and another Drake. And then we like, well, why don't you just apply that philosophy? Like, you see groups like Snuffed or Big Ab and all these other low sec organizations, and you can apply those same fleet philosophies to larger doctrines, add utility, add some flair to them. Like, your pilots don't want to sit in rogues and just shoot things with railguns all day. Like, that's super boring. Put some fucking newts on it. Use some ECM drones. Add some rooks to your comp. Do anything. This game has so much out there, and people just forget it exists because they're lazy.
Or drop dreads. There's some people though. I think somebody
Yeah,
said they
drop
feel chat.
trends.
They feel attacked in chat. They like to shoot things with railguns. But no, you're absolutely right. There's a lot of different ways you can approach it, and that's why I'm so glad CCP over the last couple of years we got away from the mutant meta, because it was like that's all anybody ever flew was whoever
Oh,
had the most mutants. It was mutants
I hate
online. I know at one
mutants.
point it was the stars online. I
yeah. If the
they
mutants
pushing
come,
off.
get an eagle. If eagles come, get mutants.
Right.
Yeah, it's never.
Nah, if mutants came, you know what I did? I got Cerberuses and killed them all.
Yeah,
Yeah.
170. Was it 171 km? Yeah, it was
Yeah, it
absurdly
was
a
nuts.
long range.
And then whenever Horde tried to run me down, they forgot the simple math of missiles that you're running into them. Range don't matter at that
So
point,
they hit
buddy.
harder, right?
They hit harder, and my range don't
So,
matter at that point.
so Sir Petey, someone asked Dave. I don't think Sir Petey's paid us. We paid him any feet picks to go on here, right? Is
No,
that correct?
no.
Yeah, I'm
That was
waiting.
Normally, I message and
Oh,
Sapides turns up. It's great.
did
Well,
you
you
like
guys
promise him
owe me
something?
feed pics. Yeah.
Do
Got
we?
it.
Ugh.
Got it. I don't know if I can do that. I think
We will get Asher to send
there's somebody
those.
in. There you go. Reach out to Asher. He owes you. I owe you. Dave will send Asher a note. We will take care of that.
But you got to pay Gobbins' tax on them first.
Yeah, 15%. I don't know what that looks like in fee picks, but that is a
15%
percent
of
tax
a
that we're
foot pick.
going with. Yeah.
That's
Yeah,
actually
no.
the secret is you don't need to tax your membership. Just have a couple with really attractive feet, sell those, buy Plex, and there you go.
Yeah.
The spy feet put Sender would say, I feel like that's a title that I need to have in Corp is the spy feed pick sender, because I asked about the people being in different corps there, which by the way, the chat seemed very split between just clicking a chat box and no, it doesn't define you.
They're goons.
So
They
thank
just
you, chat.
click a chat box.
I really appreciate that poll and really helping clear that up, because it was an exact split between no, it doesn't define you in the winner and just somebody clicking a checkbox. So you guys are great on that. I definitely appreciate that. Glad we could have some fun with that. So, Sir Peters, we're talking about kind of what you guys do and a little bit of your history and some of the stuff you've done. But what do you see as the future for Sigma? What do you want to continue to do well? What do you guys do poorly that you want to improve upon? Tell me a little bit about that.
Well, we're always after, being better at PvP, being more competent. Like for example, RQF doctrines, like they're kind of an unassuming mixture of different cruisers. And we like to see new pilots train alts, stick to alts, and stuff like that, and Sinos. So we always have Sinos marauding around our space to respond to threats, whether it's slinging our fleets and stuff like that. But so just constant improvement from our membership. We like peer-to-peer training. We like, some people to set guidelines for others to lead within their peer groups. But yeah, EFM by Easter, maybe 2028 when everybody stops building Rome or starts building it. I don't know when we're gonna start playing this game again. But probably not. Unfortunately, it looks like the 90 billion of dead nightmares in 5H that we killed was about the extent of Horde and Imperium's clash in the East, and that was pretty fun. I think we have a video still up about that. NC and I think it was BFL thought it would be a great idea not to drop faxes to support their nightmares or Haws. It was really interesting.
Why would you? If faxes are bad, you already said it earlier, so please.
On the
Yeah,
Like-
I mean,
on the note of fights,
Yeah, we're-
though, as you mentioned it, how do you think tonight's gonna go? I'm on blue balls.
yeah, I mean, there's a lot of shadow boxing, right? A lot of these organizations, they're afraid to really clash because, let's be real, like ever since the beginning, even during the casino wars, Titans weren't affordable. Yeah, even in the trillions of ISK, daily, like no one's affording a Titan whelp. No one. I don't care how many, lingerie drawers that Gobbins has that he sells for Plex or whatever it is. You're not going to afford losing, hundreds of Titans. No one is. So how do we clash? And CCP certainly hasn't made it easier. They've they've they think they've fixed the resource issue, but they only limited access to resources. That makes things really difficult. So I think tonight we're still going to show up like they're gonna come, and if they do, great, we'll fight them. But I think right now just a lot of these blocks are too busy shadow boxing each other. And
Well, for instance, Horde's too busy beating their chest about how they were apparently
yeah.
invaded by this not purple shoot it group that just anchor to keep stuff for shits and giggles. But according to RDMR, they were invaded. Don't touch our land. It was Geminate as well.
That's an excuse for the tax, dude. They're at war. Horde is at war for the very existence of their alliance. They don't want to become pest and irrelevant in the game, and people ignore them. So they're like, they've got to have it's the war fund. They're building the war fund. And a question for you, Sir PDs, and we talked a little bit. We touched on the updates and affordability of Titans. I think Titans have come down. I heard a number thrown around recently, around 50 bill. Is that right, Dave? Like we've seen Titan prices come down a bit. Do you think that CCP's done enough to, uh, encourage groups to go out there and throw their supers around a little bit?
No, I think we still have a.
No,
Oh, gone.
no, you're good. You're good, Dave. Go ahead.
I think we still have a bit of time to wait and see what happens with mineral prices as more and more get mined. It's still very early days on that.
Yeah. So, PDs, what are your thoughts, man?
Yeah, I mean, as we see, mineral access is, like I said, it's kind of um, a mirage. Like, so you can spawn these minerals, but 10 hours, right? Like once you hit a T3, 10 hours, what are you going to do? You can only put so much in space. And once your membership mines it, that's it. Like if they don't get lucky on an escalation that doesn't drop the same ore that they're targeting, right? Like, so let's say everybody's targeting Mexilon and that gets wiped out. And, then they go get Potchfin ore if they get escalation, but that's not the same they were targeting, right? To manufacture capitals or whatever it is they were building. Um, a lot of this, in my opinion, is is really bad. Like we should be engaging in wars as alliances and coalitions, but I think right now the CCP needs to make supers even cheaper and probably fix some of the ore anomalies. because we're just not getting enough minerals. You can't move minerals. That's another thing. Like a lot of people get confused with that. Yeah, like, oh yeah, we all got all these minerals now, but try moving, 500 dreads worth of minerals across the universe. It's never going to happen. Somebody go get GM commands after you get hired at CCP, but you're not moving that. So
We
like
can,
that,
yeah, but you can conduit them, right?
yeah.
That's why they give
Hey,
us conduits.
let's undock a 256 man freighter fleet. No, sorry, 255 because you need the Titan. Oh wait, 254
That's
because you
right.
need the Sino and the Titan. Yeah, to bridge the 254 freighters 7,000 times across the universe to move, 40 dreads worth of minerals. So like that may change regionally and locally, but it's not going to change like across the universe, right? Like it's cheaper to build capitals and ship those across than it is to move minerals.
It's funny, man. Like I come from a background of more of like a small, medium-sized alliance. Like most of my experience in Eve has been small gang. I've been involved in some bigger fights and that kind of stuff, of course. But if you were to talk to me a couple years ago when I was still floating around and wrote that kind of thing and asked how I felt about groups having access to more supers and making them cheaper, I'd be like, you know what, screw them, man. They don't need any more of that crap because all they do is drop that crap on my 5-man nano gang that killed an Ishtar 3 jumps over. So there is definitely, I think, I don't envy where CCP's at as far as balancing this stuff. I can, as I've been more involved in the bigger stuff now, with being in goons, I definitely can see yeah, they should be cheaper. Let's throw them around more. Why is everybody afraid to get into a big dread brawl? Yes, yes, Ellie, I did poke your Sino and then 60 angry goons came and chased me. But um yeah, no, like it is definitely a balancing act that they have to face because there is, I wouldn't say a huge portion, it's not a majority of the game, but there is a pretty big group of people who caps are kind of secondary. Whereas when it comes to our groups, and I think I don't want to speak for you and Sigma Grindset, but I feel like kind of your play style is a little more like, hey, we're not afraid to drop them and put them out there. I know we had Crimson with Big Ab on, and that's a big part of their play style, right? Is let's escalate to caps and get those big fights and that kind of thing. So when you have those kind of groups in the game, you may be a little more afraid, a little less afraid to drop them on there. And some people are like, I don't even want to log in if there's not caps, right? So I do not um envy where CCP's at. So CPD's dropped caps on try and RC the other day, gated them through curse. Yeah,
Mm.
what are you doing over there, CPDs? You just don't
Seats drops
care.
caps on everybody.
Yeah, I don't care, man. That's what they're for, right? Like, like people are so afraid to use dreads. Like, if some guy puts a fax on grid, you should dread bomb it, and it shouldn't be like, oh well, they have more dreads. Who cares? Who cares? Who cares? Because if you're engaging them and you think that your FC has a better cadence or like you have a better doctrine, well, that fax is going to be too busy repping itself. Maybe you engage with those subs. Maybe you're able to peel, so many of the subs that you break their comp and they can no longer break you sub v sub. So it doesn't matter if they have faxes anymore if you kill half of them. And if they drop dreads, well, you just kill their dreads because they're just passive bricks of shit. And their faxes are dead and their subs are broken. But it doesn't matter if you win or lose. You need a tool to disrupt the faxes. But just letting your enemies sit there and just sit on fax reps is the most absurd shit I've ever seen. And I laugh at alliances that allow that to happen. It's a fool's errand to engage that if you're not going to counter it. So don't like just dock up and fuck off. Do something else, or
Yeah.
engage it properly. And that's
Yeah.
why dreads are cheaper now.
And I think it brings like you bring up a point like dreads are cheaper, that kind of thing. And I hope those small, like your middle-sized groups, your smaller groups who maybe traditionally have been afraid to throw those caps on field might be more willing to because they can't absorb those losses like goons can. And especially Horde with their taxes that they've got going through the roof and just stealing money from their alliance members. Like they can't absorb those losses like those groups can. So they might be a little more afraid to throw those on there. But I personally, and there's another token to this, um, is we look at Killboards and Killboards play a little bit of this, do they not? Like, I feel like sometimes, and I can speak from my side when it comes from like the hunting group and trying to hunt those big kills, the big game. is if you see a group throwing their caps around, or you see a guy who continues to undock in that dread and take it to a gate, I'm like, oh man, I'm gonna drop on that guy and he's gonna lose his crap, and that's gonna be a big kill now. As an alliance leader, does that factor into anything you tell your player base? Like, hey, let's be a little careful, let's not just feed this, that kind of thing.
It's like I mentioned earlier, like we like to train our FCs, we train our people, and there's an
Mhm.
escalation, right? There's like if you put faxes, you better have dreads, and if you put dreads, you better have a sub fleet, or those things are interconnected, and not having one or the other is nonsense. If you put faxes and subs on grid, you better have dreads to defend it. If you put hot dreads on grid, you better have subs to defend those, right? And then doctrine, like making sure everybody does the right thing. Like when you drop haws on people, it doesn't mean drop like 2 haws. Like who does that? That's not how the game works. Drop like 100 haws on people, right? Like that.
There's a lot of 100 halls, man. Not everybody has 100 hall translating around.
Yeah, make a doctrine then,
Sir,
and
I mean,
support it
Okay,
for your
I'm gonna
community.
be
Yeah.
honest. If your dreads are carrying the whore guns, and you have 100 anti-cap dreads, good sir, you then have 100 whore dreads. Just thrown out there. Like, fuck the active
hey,
rep.
Ellie. Hey, if I can get somebody to throw up a poll where does the killboard matter? I think this is a cool conversation. I've seen both sides of it. There's been people who've come up with in some of those bringing solo back groups, like how to figure out the points on the kill board to determine what exactly is a good is to kill ratio. And then the points, I don't know if anybody knows. If you look at Z kill, there's like 3 columns, and there's ISK, and then there's points, and points is factored on if you're fighting outnumbered or not, that kind of thing. But Soviet, you're right, called out in the chat. I think fun matters. I
Mm-hmm.
used to really care about my kill board um, a few years ago, and as I've kind of played the game more, I don't care. I want to just go out and have fun. And you're honestly gonna find if you go out and you have fun and your play really aggressive, really aggro, as some peeps call it, you're gonna find that your kill board checks out because there's a lot of people who have no idea what they're doing. They just think because they're in a bigger ship, I'll beat this guy because he's in the destroyer and I'm in a cruiser. I can speak to last night. I was out running around in a destroyer and I soloed a E&I in a Thrasher fleet issue. Just
I mean,
go out and do it. Who cares?
the big thing on killboards, in my opinion, well, actually, I'm worrying about your killboard, kind of comes back to several occasions that I've been in when I'm FCing. You know, we've pre-pinged, we've got all of our guys rolled up, and then the hostiles outnumber us by like 1-3, and there's always, guarantee you, somebody in that like coordination channel going, oh well, we may as well stand down and go home then. And then everybody else is like, so we've just got everybody riled up. We form these fleets. They outnumber us by about 200 people, and we're just going to go home. And you expect people to turn up the next time. It's happened many a times when we've had to travel to defend people. And it's literally that. They're not going to turn up next time. So there are occasions where, to quote a friend of mine, you just go, fuck it, we ball, take the fight anyway, and do as much damage and then run away, you know? In my opinion, fuck killboards. They're good to see
Yeah.
what you've killed, but who gives a crap? Like, oh no, I've lost a ship. Oh, the travesty.
And speaking of, forcing people to engage, the filament changes, fantastic.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if you guys been,
Don't
but
get me
probing
started.
Hictors, love it.
Well, the filament changes are great because I can think of two FCs in this game that always carry filaments on them when they're not in monitors, and will happily filament out and leave their fleet behind. Mm-hmm. And apparently, they're really good FCs that are good at warping around a grid.
Hey, listen,
Yes.
I'm really good at that too, man. I feel attacked. It's not me. He's not talking about me, by the way, just so everybody knows.
Yeah,
But
Keith, you'd have
it's
to
what I
FC for
I
that. Bro.
that is true. I need to get back on that train. But so like filament changes, I'm gonna say here that I'm gonna disagree just from the standpoint of you go out and I think there's a play style from a small game, and I think there needs to be a compromise because I can see it from both sides. And we've talked about this on other shows a little bit. And I don't mind talking about it some more because it is kind of it was a polarizing change. When you're a nano group going around and you're looking for good fights, And now all of a sudden they brought the F off, get out of my space fleet. I'm trying to get out of your space. Why are you making it harder for me? Because, well, you guys want the blingy kill nails probably. So I think there can be a little bit of a balance there. I'm not exactly a huge fan of I have to sit here for a minute and a half, an hour, however long the timer is, um, and wait while you guys get to scan me down in the middle of nowhere, so I can leave. But yeah.
I won't beat you up too much on your opinion, but
You can go ahead. Go for it, man.
it allowed such a trivial, perfect escape. And if people don't know, like in the very beginning of Eve, there wasn't local. You didn't know who was local. It was Constellation Chat, and then everybody was mad about local, whatever, a long time ago. But like people got pinned. You would camp certain constellation connections or regional gates and stuff like that. And it was really interesting because the roaming gangs would take note of this. That's the whole point of sending a scout first, right? Is that was trained into
Mhm.
people early. But yeah, like when filaments were introduced to the game, it created such a perfect escape tool that it removed all content. And I know that sounds counterintuitive. You're like, wait, I can teleport everywhere randomly to supposed active space to now I could just F off immediately if I don't like what's on the table. Well, back in the day, you couldn't do that. You had to be talented. You had to scout gates. You dicked your bubble just at the right time, or your doctrine was just fast enough to pull out of range so you can, you know, get out of that network or that pocket. And filaments, I think, were just too strong at negating all content because you couldn't counter any of the groups that came in your space, and now we can, depending on their size at least. And like I think the
Yeah.
30-second filaments, we've tried. Like we had guys with pods scanning people, looking for it, right? And it does get quite complicated when they're small gang. But everything over the 30-second, you can actually force those people to engage.
So we had a question. What about wormholes to get in and out of null? They're distinctly different, good sir.
Give them
Because
the same penalty as antiplexes. When you put a bubble or you tackle them, they can't jump through the hole.
but also wormholes
What's
are a
what?
lot easier to stop
Yeah.
people getting to. Bubble fuck the shit out of it. They ain't leaving.
Well, you can roll wormholes too, right? You can delete them. Like they're
Yeah.
if you're active in your space and you're worried about a wormhole because you're going to be doing X, Y, and Z in your space, you can go roll a wormhole pretty quickly.
We had
You
a
might feed
go on.
go ahead there. I was just gonna say you might feed a rolling battleship or two, or maybe you're using the old what is it, the rolling sigils
Sigil,
with the Higgs rigs, if you even still do that. But um whatever, that's what a couple in the middle, that kind of thing to save maybe a whirlpool or whatever. So wormholes definitely accountable. I definitely Subpoenas, that's a different like I haven't heard that take on it from the side of like it kills content. I can see what you're saying. I can tell you from my experience, usually we would never use when I was in Rope Compel specifically, we would never use filaments usually to go find content. When we lived in Turner, more importantly, or different parts of space, we always found regions where we'd go through a wormhole. And then the filament was we just got hell camped in by 30 bards and that kind of thing as they formed a doctrine. I want to get out. So
Yeah, I miss the days of if you want to get out, you log off, find a wormhole in that pocket, or run the gauntlet.
Yeah, it goes. We'll log in tomorrow at the same time, gentlemen. Yeah, like
Yeah.
I've
I'm
you know,
done
I've
for the
been
night.
been in that.
no, I bet yeah,
We'll
exactly.
reconvene. Yeah.
Yeah. See you
But
tomorrow.
yeah, I can understand that. Like, but it's like most things in Eve, they become meta, right? Like, there's someone figures out the optimal way to use something, like ESS, for
Yeah.
example, or just like the filament. People meted the filament and as a perfect escape tool, and it ruins it for those that had a legitimate excuse. But how do you like gauge that? Do you have like some mystical being come out of nowhere and start like, okay, I'm here to be the arbiter of your filament use? Like, what are we even talking about? Like, it's not real.
Yeah.
So, it turned into a thing where it was abused as a perfect escape tool, and that spoiled it for the people that used it responsibly. But the people that used it responsibly were in the absolute minority.
Yeah. Well, that you hit the nail on the head though, right? Like that is Eve Online. We get something good and it's like CCP probably has this plan. I think I've read some dev blogs from the past before where CCP will come out with something and then the player base finds a way to abuse it and just beat the living heck out of it. And then we're like, wow, this is terrible, like the way it's being used now.
Zarzak
Yeah,
is one of those.
got,
They turned around and went, "We never thought it'd be used like this."
it was funny that the video we made of Zarzak prior to Zarzak getting nerfed, like nailed it on the head too. Like everything was just a rental hellscape for PandaFam. And then the abuse of CNTZ, where you had basically like one singular person dragging the entirety of the community for the last 5 years into one time zone because it was their perfect advantage, right? Like, so that was really nice when they nerfed Zarzak because it was near an exploit. It was absurdly
I do
broken.
miss the entertaining times though of things like really expensive frat fleets getting caught time and time again by a bubble outside of the safety bubble in Zarzak.
Was it?
Just
Yeah, in
all
it
dying.
caught him, and then Big Ab caught him another
Yeah, it
time
just kept
and murdered
happening
him all.
every time to the point where they stopped coming south because they would always die on the way back or on the way there. What's a scout? Anyone know? Please tell me.
Yeah,
It's
just
really important.
Anywho,
I want as we're coming to we got a couple minutes left here, Dave. But I really want the chat to take away. First of all, Stigma Grindset's awesome. Hit up Sapides. Sapides, I'm sure you can direct people on get a hold of one of your recruiters, that kind of thing. But they are an awesome group, 10 out of 10. But also, as Dave just mentioned, taxes are bad. Taxes without representation. And if there's any Horde members watching, please reach out to Goblins. We'd love to have them on the show and chat with them a little bit about taxes to have a better understanding. And
we promise
a,
we won't
a
throw all of his
genuine
goblins in the harbor.
conversation.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like an honest, genuine, heartfelt conversation. Goblins, I'm not a long-term lifer goon. I'm kind of new to this. So if you're listening or somebody's passing this on to you, Keystone invites you to have a chat with him.
And
I'll even
we've
tell
talked
Dave you guys
before in
sit down
person.
somewhere.
No, me and Goblins have met. He gave me a hug. There's a selfie of me and Goblins standing next to each other. So,
yeah. Someone asked if a beret is required. No, but all kinks are welcome in Sigma. We don't judge your yuck or fun or whatever. It's all welcome.
We don't judge here, unless you have a 10% tax on mining. We judge.
Yeah, we do judge. We are anti-tax here in the meta show. Kind of, maybe.
All the
Tax
gabloons are
enough
going
to
in
pay
the
for your
harbor.
stuff. They are. Throw their good blues in the harbor. If those are a thing,
They are.
I hope
No,
everybody
that's what
on
they
here
call their
throws them into the
SRP.
harbor.
That's what. So
Oh,
Horde's
Lord.
SRP, they don't give an is. They through their strat
Script.
packs, they earn gabloons. I shit
Is it
you
like
not.
script, right?
Yeah.
Like mining script? Oh
And
my gosh.
they earn gabloons and they can exchange that for SRP. I shit you not. Hold on, let me get.
That's wild.
I will get you the exact details on it.
Like,
I want to
give their
see the
members money, you know?
Somebody please start a cryptocurrency with gabloons. That will be great. Be
Oh,
life
Let
changing.
me make
No,
sure I'm
don't do
logging
that.
into
Don't
the
do
right.
that.
Okay. we will go a bit longer so I can explain to Keith on the stream what in the hell a gabloon is.
If we get a crypto gabloon tax, Matt, but I appreciate you just want to tax everything, man. I'm not about your tax ideas. I need you to take your taxation ideas, your big government ideas, and you need to flush them down the drain, man. We're about taxing with responsible taxes here on the show. Fair and balanced taxes, not
Okay.
unfair taxes.
Gabloons
Right?
Scandinavian model,
explained.
there we go.
Right, is everybody ready for this? Gabloons explained. Gabloons is a
Dave, please
currency
do.
Horde uses to automate certain aspects of EVE that are insanely labor intensive to achieve. Otherwise, 1 gabloon equals 1 million ISK. This value will always be the same, and gabloons will never disappear from the system unless they get deducted. We have the ability to automatically assign gabloons based on things that happen in EVE. For example, you might lose a ship during a fleet, which we want to refund you. There are many other ways to obtain gabloons as well. In order to trade in gabloons for ISK, you put in a transfer request. This will signal someone to pay you the ISK in game. This process needs to be done manually, so it can take some time to complete. Now,
Sorry, gabloons are a fake tax.
most
everybody in
alliances
chat.
here, I don't know why it keeps going up and down. It's like right in front of my face, Heidi. Most alliances just give you ISK. Like, most of the time, GSF SRP you before your fleet is home. Like, if it kicks off tonight, anybody that dies, normally even capitals, will get SRP'd before their fleet returns home. Because Atrium has an army of just, like, carpal tunnel enthusiasts. So, yeah. On the get a new mic thing, well, you continue, then I'll explain something about my mic.
Yeah, we'll have our some of our spies cash in their gaboons or whatever. I don't even know what they're called.
Gabloons.
So we can get you a new mic. Yeah. So we can get you a new mic.
On the new mic thing, people keep saying about my new mic. The reason why, when I was reading, it went bad is because my head was above it so I could read. My mic sits on a mic stand here, and it is a Yeti GX. It is a very expensive microphone. It just requires to be right up in my face with the settings I've got. So when I'm reading something, I can't have it right here. So sometimes it will go a bit skew-if. Anyway, so yeah, that's gabloons for you folks.
Chad, I appreciate the. Let's not beat up Dave too much about his mic. Dave, we're just at, first of all, some PDs. I want to say thank you again for coming on the show and talking to us about your alliance. I know I personally learned a lot about Sigma, and I definitely look forward to flying with you. Hopefully, I'll be flying some dreads next to you, dropping some cats on Horde, and making them spend their gabloons. And looking forward to talking to you again, man.
Yeah, gentlemen, it's been fun. Yeah, yeah, we're always recruiting. As long as spies have dread alts, we're good, right?
Yeah,
exactly, dude. I love that attitude.
In my opinion,
Dave,
if they use those dread alts to kill a couple of Horde guys before they end up AWOXing someone, that's a win. Yeah, so that's all for today. Thank you, everyone. It has actually been quite fun. It's been a laugh. Shout out to Elkane for making our backgrounds. So Keith mentioned at the start we have some Oh wow, it'll be in the recording. We have some polls that people need to fill out, or don't need to, but would like you to. This is what happens when you go over. If you could check those out, and if you're listening to the recording or watching the VOD, if you go to our Twitch channel and do !TMS or !viewer poll, you'll get those polls. Tell us how we're doing. I know about the mic. It was because I was reading something. And that is all for today. Again, thank you, Sapides. Thank you, Keith. And we will see you all next time. Bye-bye now.
See you, everybody.